Hollywood felt like they could control culture before with these movies. And, you know, I mean, like Friends, the TV show, everyone had the same freaking haircut as Ross, and everyone had the same haircut as Jennifer Aniston. People stopped looking up to them.
Yeah,
like
this is
Jim
like
Carrey.
when you have a husband that beats his wife and puts cigarettes out on her, and she finally gets an apartment, moves out, and he goes over there and shoots her. They're basically pissed that we left them. They were obsessed with controlling culture, and now they've just, like Count Dracula, opened up his cape and just are sending out all the poison gas.
Oh my
Shut the f up. Shut the f up.
We, the people, were salty on Friday and all through the weekend. Many of my YouTube peers spent hours creating videos, doing cringe live streams, and carrying out what can only be described as one of the biggest hissy fits I've seen in our little circle in a long time, including, but not limited to, people I consider friends tagging in Team YouTube and essentially tattling, essentially wanting to get videos flagged down, wanting to go after all of the creators that were on a particular stream. By the way, obviously, you probably noticed by now, I'm working with a different microphone. I'm still trying to tweak it, so obviously feedback is welcome. You know, I've got an Afix 230 head unit here running a Neumann TLR 102, TLM, TLR 102, something like that. I don't know. But yeah, feedback welcome. So look, let me just address something first and foremost. I know Alex through his videos, never spoken to him one-on-one until Friday. And there are certainly things that he has said in the past that are just outright incorrect. There are things that he said that are unproven. There are also things he said that have been 100% correct. In my opinion, you know, I'd be willing maybe to listen to somebody try and make the case, but you know, in my opinion, outside of his one really bad mess up with you know, the actors stuff, is he really that different than CNN? Has he spread more lies, quote unquote, than CNN and presented it as fact? Remember the Russians? Remember you know, the golden shower stuff with Trump? Remember, I mean, CNN has probably 30 or 40 major stories that at best, at most charitable, have never been proven. And there's been more than a handful of ones that were completely false. They have employees who have been caught on tape admitting this. And I'm sure Fox News has a bunch of baloney sausage too. So for me, it's hard to hear the argument that like, oh, this guy's just so evil. He's just so much worse than, you know, mainstream news, because they all lie, or in their minds it's correct, but it may not be supported by evidence. So when I went on a podcast on Friday with Alex, there was an immense amount of outrage from many of my peers who were like soft narking, whining about it on Twitter. Again, some people even tagged in Team YouTube, which was particularly disheartening to see. You know, that stream, as far as I know, has broken no TOS and is actually all good to go, as far as I know. Now, I was only there for a little bit. Alex made some bold claims, and people were in general angry that nobody was quote unquote pushing back. Well, I'll say this much. First of all, I was just a guest on the stream. Okay. It wasn't my house. If I had done a video like that, I would not have live streamed it. Simply because you can't control the guy, it's because just keep talking and talking. When you're in the same room, maybe you can do it a little easier. And people, sadly, losing their minds and getting totally butthurt about it. Just a small sample of the booty blasts. You have, one of my most prominent obsessive fans, Ricardo, on tonight's exciting episode of Delusional Angry White Men. I always think it's interesting when white people use white as a pejorative. It's really disconnected and odd. Of course, the tweet didn't go exactly like you thought. One of the top replies, "You're that umbrella guy. Judging from the butthurt in this post, you seem to be describing yourself. Bad take, man. Let me guess. All because Alex in the quartering is on there. Really got to be dumping on the rest of them like that? Poor attitude, man." I mean, I know. Sounds like he was upset he wasn't invited. Look who's talking. No wonder your channel's losing subscribers and going backwards. Come on, dude. I don't think that this is a good look, obviously. You sure about that? They actually have wives and girlfriends. Meanwhile, you have chickens. Oh, that's a little below the belt. I just don't see really a lot of people in here agreeing. Really can't help yourself. I'm not a fan. I'm generally not a fan of yours, but I don't see how this affects you in any way. No disrespect. I mean it. I am a fan, but come on, man. Oh, I'm generally a fan. Soy Rage. I'm looking for all of the people that agree with this. Seems like Jeremy still lives rent-free in your head as much as you do in his. Look, in my defense, the guy's always putting my name in his mouth, and you guys are sending it to me, so it's hard for me not to see it. Please stop sending when this guy, obsesses over me. But he wasn't the only one. You could just look through the, Twitter in general, right? You see Vito talking to YouTube to cancel ban Neurotic for having Alex on. This guy, even though he's blocked, he's constantly obsessively replying on every one of my threads. This is going to be a big moment for him because I know he'll be watching this video. Jeremy continuously promotes the ideas of Alex. Again, could you give me one of them? Would it be the vampire potbelly hobgoblins or whatever? Is that the one I'm constantly promoting? I wouldn't consider myself like a longtime viewer to, reader of the content that Alex puts out. My defense of him has always been in defense of free speech. Now, if you want to talk about something specific, we could talk about that. We could talk about whether or not I agree with something in particular. You could see he's also a big Alex endorser. So a 9/11 truther. That's not opinion I care. It's like people are just making things up. That's the hilarious thing. It's just, I remember straight away, Heels versus Babyface was a semi-decent WoW content creator. But now I see him discussing anti-poke theories with the likeness of Alex Jones and the quartering. Wow. Now, a lot of people, again, obsessively attaching me to the stream, which is just not true. You had a group of, 9 to 15 people rotating in and rotating out. Wasn't on my channel, wasn't my stream. I was a guest who had said about 11 words when Alex was on, but people are happy to attach me to this to try and, get my channel in trouble or something like that. I challenge you to say, anything I said in particular on the show that you didn't like or that you disagree with, and we could talk about that. But the idea that just because you're on a live stream with somebody, you must automatically agree with everything they say is such a room temperature IQ take. It's mind-boggling to me. It really, really is. I just, you know, Joe Rogan has a lot of people, various people on his podcast, and he runs into him all the time, where people are like, "Oh, you had this weirdo on your show, so you must absolutely agree." He was mainstream. Now he's been reduced to live stream with a bunch of soys and talk about wives. Okay, well, that's good for you. You know, I've always viewed Alex as an entertainer. I called him an entertainer on the stream. I do believe that he genuinely does believe the things that he's saying, and I do believe some of the things that he says are true. I do also believe some of the things he says are wildly untrue. My position has been, though, that if you're going to allow CNN or Fox News to have a platform and not hold them to the same standard that you apparently hold Alex to, I mean, people are talking about how, oh, well, Alex has a couple of really bad ideas, and then the people did these things because of it. Well, what about CNN glorifying all of the summer of peace, causing billions of dollars in damage, fiery but mostly peaceful? What about that kind of stuff? What about Russia? What about the whole nothing burger? Remember when Van Jones got busted in 4K? And you just have all this crazy outrage. Quartering streaming with Alex Jones just goes to show the quartering has gone far down the right conspiracy rabbit hole. Really? What idea, what opinion that was espoused did I agree with? Did I reinforce on that stream? And you have, you know, people in here just losing their mind, tagging in H3 and rewriting Ripley. Got to tag these people in. People are so obsessed with hating me that they're willing to take any, you know, like, look, I like all these people a lot. As coworkers, I've never hung out with any of them in real life, but does that mean I agree with every single thing they have to say? No. You see, Boulder Man here, Ryan Cannell in the bottom left makes jokes later about how women are weak and punching them is bad because it signals that they're a threat. Honestly, outside of Alex, the quartering is the least problematic. The other guys push their far-right conspiracy theories, as well as bigotry, discrimination, and some outright racism in the case of Gary. I haven't heard any of those things. I'm not saying I can say for a fact they don't exist, but I can say that I haven't heard them. If they do exist, obviously it's something that I wouldn't agree with. But, you know, Boulder Man doesn't have to worry about proving his statement. He just gets to say something heinous about people that I enjoy their content and not provide any receipts. Stay salty, losers. Hope you enjoyed this video. We'll talk to you again real soon.